I'm so glad that we started recording and filming historical events before we realized that people were going to forget or lie about it. Phony history lessons and just a bunch of talking heads and hearsay. Let's look at some actual history.
Amid the fabled hills of Judea in Southwest Asia stands Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine, sacred to three of the world's great religions. To Mohammedans, who ruled Palestine for nearly 13 centuries and still regard it as their own, Jerusalem is almost as sacred as Mecca. To hundreds of millions of Christians, this is the Holy Land. Here, Jesus of Nazareth trod the slow, agonizing road to Calvary and the cross. Here, a great Christian shrine has been erected on the spot believed to be where Jesus began the life he was to sacrifice for all mankind. One of the oldest traditions in Palestine's history, stretching back beyond recorded time, is that of the Hebrews, symbolized by the Wailing Wall, place of lamentation and prayer since the days of Herod the Great. In no other religion has Palestine a more deep and mystical significance. Throughout all the sorrowful centuries since the Hebrews were scattered over the face of the earth, their religious rituals have kept ever before them the memory of Palestine as the land promised them by Moses. Today, millions of them center their immemorial hopes for fulfillment of this promise on the new Palestine, with its shining city of Tel Aviv, built by Jews on desert and swampland. Here, world Jewry sees rising at last, a homeland in which the tribes of Israel, wanderers for over 3,000 years, may come together once again as a nation. After Lord Allenby conquered the Holy Land in 1917, the Jews were promised a national home in Palestine by Britain's Earl of Balfour, a policy endorsed by Woodrow Wilson and the League of Nations, which made Palestine a British mandate. But in 1939, with war in the offing, the oil pipeline from Iraq through Palestine became one of Britain's major strategic worries, along with the Suez Canal, the empire's lifeline to the Far East. To ensure an uninterrupted supply of oil for its planes, tanks, and ships, Britain had to maintain peace at all costs with the predominantly Arab population, which had long been resentful of Jewish immigration. To this end, London issued a white paper which strictly limited the number of Jews admitted into Palestine. In the war years that followed, only a few thousand of Europe's millions of unhappy Jews were able to escape the fascist tyranny and seek refuge in Palestine. By the war's end, hundreds of thousands of survivors, without homes or possessions, faced a future without hope unless some place on earth could be found for them. To Europe's surviving Jews, free access to Palestine, their land of promise, is today more urgently needed than at any time in the long and tragic history of the people of Israel. Convinced that the excuse for keeping Palestine closed had ended with the war, the Jews of America brought strong pressure to bear on Britain.
This conference urges the British government to abrogate the policy set out in the White Paper of 1939 and to open Palestine to unrestricted Jewish immigration and resettlement.
Israel is at war. In an unprovoked...
Exclusive Storm Center reports from Palestine, where men of the British Army and the Palestine police watched the arrival of a shipload of illegal Jewish immigrants at Haifa. Crowded decks and a packed hold as the newcomers look joyfully towards the land they claim as a national home. So far it looks peaceful and they're welcomed with food and milk. When they get ashore, they'll see what damage has been done to the Jewish cause by the fanatics of the Irgun and Stern terrorist gangs. Already at the other side of the harbour, they can see the burning wreckage of the British tanker Empire Cross. 23 of the tanker's crew are missing after her cargo of high-octane petrol exploded. Stringent security measures are the rule among our Palestine troops today. Nobody gets by without a check and double-check. After taking these exclusive pictures, Pathé cameraman Ken Gordon was detained for 7 hours for a thorough going over.